All right. We should be live. If everything worked and I didn't do anything dumb, then we are live on Twitch. Hello, everybody. If you can't hear me, let me
Hello.
know.
Hello, we are here.
We are here.
See if we're
All
coming through.
right. You'll notice an absence of Ted and Ginny today, so I am producing. So if anything's real janky, that's why. I assume you know who I am, but I am Spencer. I am one of the online event coordinators for Baldwin Games. Also, I do streaming. And with me, as my co-host today, I have the amazing Paul Gabbett, online event, or sorry, Munche Isles Malefic Illusions storyline coordinator. And
Hi.
Cassandra McDonald, Dreams of the Red Wizards storyline coordinator and indie game design guru.
So glad to be here again.
Thanks for joining me, especially because I didn't give you guys a lot of notice that we were doing this.
Plenty
So,
of notice.
Yeah, I'm here to add to the jankiness of the stream.
3 days is more
fantastic.
notice than I'm used to.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, I mean, that's how much notice I got, so it's good. It's all good. All right, so what we're here for? We're here for one very odd stream where we talk about one D&D, just in general, the latest playtest material and how it's going to affect the virtual D&D weekends. First, we'll just give a quick recap about what one D&D is. Then we will go into the current document that just dropped a couple weeks ago or last week. I don't know. Time is fuzzy. Then we'll talk about how it's going to affect the virtual D&D weekends, and then we'll let you go on your way and send you off to do whatever you do on a Sunday evening. And if you're in Canada, happy Thanksgiving.
Yay! Happy
Woo!
Thanksgiving.
Happy Canadian
I'm not in
Thanksgiving.
Canada. But
I
You know,
am.
true story. We almost had an all Canadian edition. I tried, but our other Canadian co-host was unfortunately
Mhm.
out with COVID, which is sad. But I did sneak two Canadians onto the show.
We'll
So,
make it happen.
all right. So Paul, why don't you tell us about one D&D?
Yeah, so what is one D&D? For those who don't know, one D&D is planned to be the final version of D&D for the foreseeable future. It's not, I'm thinking, I doubt it, it's the final name of that system once it comes out. But right now, we're all calling it one D&D. It's supposed to work on. It builds on what already works with fifth edition, which all of us love. A lot of the stuff in fifth edition. That's why we got a lot of more players now because it's easy to use. But from what I've heard, it's also backwards compatible, right, Cassandra?
Yeah, so they're hoping to make OD&D backwards compatible with all existing source books, minus Volos and Mordekainen's Tome of Foes, both of which have been retired. The goal is, if you can run Curse of Strahd in 5e, you can run Curse of Strahd in 1D&D, and so forth with every adventure, and ideally every source book, such as Xanathar's, Tasha's, and Mordekainen's Multiverse. Um,
Okay, and yeah, what's this? It matters here. That's why we're talking about it because this one is gonna be open and public playtest for all, and of course, it's gonna be officially sanctioned playtest here at Bauman Games Virtual D&D Weekends happening each month, and on October it's happening. I don't have the calendar with me. When is it happening, Spencer? Is it on
28th?
21st? Oh,
That's the
28th.
28th to the 30th this month.
Yep.
28th to the 30th. That's right. So yes, sign up
Weekend.
for virtual D&D weekend. If you want to play test with us, and also it'll be good for us to once you play with us, play with different people or play with your friends with us here at virtual D&D weekends, and then you can join us as we answer the monthly surveys to help shape one D&D, and it becomes a game that we want it to be. So that's it.
And we have those surveys. We have a new survey for this document that's coming now. The feedback survey, I believe, opens on October 20th. So about 2 weeks after the original document was released. And then that survey will be open for another 2 weeks beyond that before closing for good. So give yourself a chance to try the new content, get in, give the feedback, and make sure it gets in before the deadline.
This
It'll all
is
be
the
distributed on
second
D&D Beyond, so it'll be easy
document,
enough to
right?
find. Yes, this is our second playtest document we're working with.
Oh, nice.
And we're expecting them
Yeah.
to keep dropping until late 2023.
That's what they're telling us. They're going to go through all of the player's handbook and then continue on from there into presumably the Dungeon Master's Guide, that they haven't announced that officially yet. So we've got a new document, as you mentioned, that just dropped a week ago, I think. Now, time is a very fuzzy concept for me.
Yep.
And as you mentioned, this is the second document, following up on the first one last month. That was sort of the origins document. Told you about, we did sort of backgrounds and how the start of a character build goes. And this one goes into some other things. So what have they changed anything, first of all, from last month's document, Cass?
For the most part, it seems like their method is fairly similar. I don't think anything has been majorly changed based on the playtest feedback so far. But I'm sure there might be some little things slipped in the bestiary that I may have missed. It looks like for the most part, the big thing is they're just rolling out more content rather than going back and like retroactively changing anything that's been out so far. Because even what came out last month is still fairly new.
Right.
The one change I saw is the walking back that Nat 20 rule a little bit.
Yeah, the inspiration.
I may have missed that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So what did you see that's new this month, Paul?
We have classes, right? Expert classes. That's what they call it now. So there's gonna be like groups now for these classes, and the ones for expert classes, the one that they release in this new document, there's gonna be the Bard, the Ranger, and the Rogue. So if you're getting this playtest material right now in D&D Beyond, the second one, Unearthed Arcana, then you'll be able to see what they have now for the Bard, Ranger, and Rogue, and the changes that they made from the 2014 Player's Handbook. And they also put like one subclasses there, and then more feats, and then the spells for that. And do you know? So we're gonna have now experts, mages, priests, and warriors. Those are like the class groups now. So that's gonna be exciting and scary at the same time, because I'm not sure if everyone's gonna be okay with it, but I'm willing to try. I'm willing. That's why we're here. We're playtesting it to, if there's anything that needs to be changed, you give feedback in the survey. So there.
Okay, so Cassandra, you've had some time to look at the document. What was your sort of general impression on this one?
My impression is that there's a off the cuff, it just seems like the new classes, we see a lot of changes to the Bard. The Ranger got a bit of an overhaul, but seems to play mostly the same. And the Rogue mostly got shuffled around, which is fair because the Rogue was a perfect class as it was, and I will die on this hill. So I think we're going to see like the biggest changes to the Bard, and I think that foreshadows some big changes to casters more generally. And I'm really excited to see how that plays out.
Yeah. And I think since they've given us the expert class group, they given these the Bard, the Ranger, and the Rogue now have the expertise feature, right? I think that's one of the main highlight there. That's why they're expert, because now they have these expertise feature, which means that they're proficient in like 2 skills. If I'm right,
Skill
right?
monkeys.
Yep. Yes, right. So and they get
skill monkey.
Yeah, and they become they get more of that as they level up, especially for the Ranger. So kind of gets a bit of a buff there for the Ranger.
Yeah.
So what's the one thing from this document, Cass, that stands out most to you? Like, what is the one highlight for you above all else?
So this was actually something I drew attention to a little last time, but I'm seeing it getting more expansion on this time. And I feel like this is going to be my personal thing that I'm going to really beat the drum about. But we're seeing a lot more emphasis on unarmed combat and fixing up some of the things that were broken with unarmed combat. And while like the classes are definitely the most exciting part of this, and I'd love to get like really deep into that. For me, the fact that they've changed unarmed combat is really interesting to me, because we'll see Tavern Brawler has been moved to allow you to shove as part of an unarmed attack. and Grappler has been changed to allow you to grapple as part of an unarmed attack. And I think that's going to make for some really interesting builds in the future. Especially the Grappler change feels like an indirect buff to the Monk, and I'm just really interested to see what that does going forward. So I'm just really fascinated by the kinds of things that they've changed about just general combat between that and the 2-weapon fighting.
I like that. Yeah, I think that's something that definitely has needed an overhaul. I mean, since 5th edition was first came about. So I like that. It's not my highlight, but I like that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
How about for you, Paul? What was the number one thing that you noticed in this that stood out to you?
Number one, well, I try to make my when I make my D&D characters, I try to take advantage of the loopholes or situations or in the features, the skills where I can take advantage of them, and especially in combat. And does that mean I'm a min maxer? Okay.
Yeah. Congratulations.
Congratulations to me. All right. But yeah, one thing that I noticed, sneak attack for rogues. Sneak attack for rogues. If I'm reading this correctly, I'm trying to understand it. So it says here, you know how to turn a subtle attack into a deadly one. So once on each of your turns, when you take the attack action, you can deal extra damage to one creature you hit with an attack roll. So that means I need an attack action to do a sneak attack. And right now, you can do a sneak attack on other character's turn. So that means if you like ready action and attack, and then it's another player's turn or another character's turn, and then it triggers your ready action, you can trigger your sneak attack as well. But here, since it's attack action is required, you can only do it on your turn. So,
I missed that one. I didn't. Yeah, they totally nerfed it.
I was talking about this last night. It's actually kind of removed the option of ambushing from rogues, because if you're readying an attack, you aren't going to get sneak attack. And if you're catching someone with an attack of opportunity, no sneak attack.
Yeah, that's always been a big one for me when I play my rogues is throwing myself up in there and chasing people off and making them draw their attacks of opportunity.
Yeah.
I guess
go ahead.
It also kind of messes with the Arcane Trickster a bit, because the old trick with that used to be using like green flame blade on your sneak attack. But now that sneak attack is attack action only, stuff like the blade cantrips aren't going to play into that unless we see a serious rewarding.
I mean, my rogues tend to be a little bit. They're the most OP characters I tend to build, so I can't really complain too much.
No.
But
I just hope it's something they've got in mind, that this is all an intentional design choice and not accidentally amputating a bunch of builds.
Yeah, I think that's what they're trying to do. Amputate. I think I'm more leaning into that because it's right now they're trying to remove like those easy to take advantage features and skills, and they're all just trying to make it all the classes not as OP or as overpowered as right now, I should say, because we all know it. We've been playing D&D 5th edition for a long time. We know how to take advantage of, some of the skills that these classes have. And like, for example, another one that I have, it's a very simple one. It's not that game breaking, but the guidance spell, right? If you play an adventure 5th edition, you have a cleric. They'll go with you and say, before you check for traps, cast guidance on you. Oh, can I cast guidance on this? Oh, can I cast guidance on that? Now, guidance has changed because what's this? There's a new paragraph here for guidance and says once a creature rolls a dice for the die for the spell, that creature can't benefit from the spell again until the creature finishes a long rest. So one guidance. They will only take a benefit from guidance spell once per long rest per character. So no more guidance spam.
Flip side though, it is a reaction now. which I think is a good move. I have to say I've hated guidance for a long time. I'm
Yeah.
real. I think it stops the game when everyone's just like, "Oh, let me guidance this. Oh, let me guidance this. Oh, let me guidance this." It slows down play, and I love to see it move to more of, "Oh, you failed. Let me throw a D4 on that and see if you succeed." That
Yeah,
is
I think
so much more elegant to me.
for sure. I think that's I think it's a much better move. I didn't have quite the issue with guidance spam that you have, but I didn't like it either. It was always just one of those like I don't like anything that's spammed a lot. That just sort of
Yeah, right.
grinds the game, right?
Mhm.
Right. So yeah, on the player side, of course, especially if you're used to it, now they're kind of taking that away from you. But if as a DM, because for me, I'm like, okay, I need to take guidance into consideration. This is gonna be the DC for that. I need to make it a bit higher because I know this spell will be available. But now, okay, I can if I'm running like a pre-written adventure, I can actually follow what's written there because I know you can't spam guidance anymore. That's one thing out of the way.
I do think
So
long rest is a little too punishing. That I could see that getting bumped down to short rest personally, but
It seems like the
mhm.
kind of thing maybe they'll tweak a bit. Yeah,
yeah, power
good
levels
for
are
farmers. Yeah.
power levels. They've
Um,
noted in this specifically that power levels are all subject to change.
Yes,
Some
I mean
Right,
make
that's
a
right.
lot of
that's true
investment.
whenever they do playtest stuff.
Yeah.
So for me, the big thing I noticed was, or I mean, it's exactly what I expected, which is the reworking of feats, which is a thing I
Yes.
commented on last month as well. They sort of hinted at it when they rolled out the first level feats, so that meant the rest of the feats would be getting reworked as well, and they did. And I'm here for it. I like it. I haven't had a chance to go through all of them in great detail because my time is finite and there's a lot of feats. But at a glance, I like that they added more feats. There's new feats in here. The epic feats are a nice way to continue gameplay at higher levels, which is great. I always kind of like those sorts of things for those people who like to play 20th level characters. I'm not one of them, but I think it's great to have that. The thing I really noticed that jumped at me right away, though, was that all the feats all have conditions
ASIs.
on them now, like prerequisites you have to meet before you can get them. Before some feats had them, but a bunch of most feats didn't, and now I think every single feat that I looked at has a prerequisite that you have to meet, whether it's a class group or some kind of proficiency or some specific target scores that your
Mhm.
character has to have, which I think is interesting.
I think it's interesting, but I also think it's going to open us up to a lot of problems going forward. And we're already seeing this a little bit in that for example, rangers don't qualify as warriors; they're classed as experts.
Yep.
And paladins don't qualify as warriors either; they're classed as priests.
Yep.
And every fighting style in the game is limited to the warriors, so they now all have to have like a line in their class that says you can take this because you're a ranger. I I think that's a fine solution, but I feel like it opens you up to a future where like you'll have to put lines like that in every new thing you design.
Right.
I'm worried about the long-term stability of that.
Mhm.
I
You can
think
still
I think you're
multi-class, right?
yeah, yeah. But I think you're right though. I think I hadn't thought about that specific case, but there's definitely I know a couple of them that definitely probably have room for refinement on them.
Mhm.
But I like the idea of well, I don't know. I'm of mixed feelings about the idea of like siloing the feats a little bit around. You know, it gives. They seem to be trying to walk a balance. To my mind, they seem to be trying to walk a balance between giving people more options, but also restricting options, so not giving people all the options,
Right.
which is like it's interesting. Like one hand's giving, while the other hand's taking away. It seems to be the sort of the methodology of building this, which is
Yeah.
interesting.
It seems like they're trying to
Right.
roll walk a lot more, which I'm
Yes.
not super fond of personally.
Imagine if there's gonna be like more source book coming out with additional like 10 to 20 more feats gonna be available, and then we're like into year 4, year 5 of 1D&D, and there's like 100, 200 feats now. There's gonna be like choice paralysis happening there when you're
They all
leveling up.
They've always been a bit reluctant to drop more feats. Like I think only Xanathars and Tashas now have ever dropped
Right.
feats. Volos might have had one or two hiding in there. Um, but they have been pretty reluctant in the past to drop feats. But if they're going to become a primary source of like advancement,
Right.
because I know in 5e they said like we don't make more feats because most players just play with ASIs. But if feats are going to become a primary source of advancement and build variety, they may go that route. We might see more feats coming out in the future.
I'm personally happy that they're emphasizing feats, just in general. It was one of the things that 3.5 did well, that I miss in fifth edition, is the emphasis of feats. It makes, to my mind, it makes every character feel a bit more samey when feats are less on the table.
Yeah,
Because
I
you're
think
just building a class as opposed to custom building a character.
yeah, and I think that's why the first level feat was such a popular home rule or house rule. Is because people just wanted some meaningful choice to make at first level, and I like that they've paid that off. I like that they've given us a first level feat in the ODD play test.
Yeah.
Agreed. I think for the most part the whole revamping the whole origins, the first level feats, and sort of reworking how backgrounds work was a good choice. I mean, I've been on record for years as not liking fifth edition backgrounds. I mean, I personally like them. I don't like the fact that they're so meaningless to so many people. Like, that's my problem with them.
Yeah, I think we had that discussion last time too.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
let's not
So
repeat old topics.
no, don't need to go back down that road.
Uh,
The other thing. Oh, so go ahead.
I was just gonna say if we want to get into classes now, but if you have something else, go for it.
I was gonna say, yeah, no, I was gonna go right into classes too, but you go first. You have some.
I am absolutely fascinated, like just going top to bottom. I am absolutely fascinated with what's happening to the Bard. Bard to me is probably the one that's changing the most because we're seeing a complete change to how Bardic Inspiration works. We're seeing Bard limited to only 4 schools of magic, which specifically like pigeonholes them into being a utility caster. We're seeing like healing magic is now just sort of built into their class, like they get these healing spells for free. Magical secrets has been changed so you can re-prepare it. Bards prepare spells now, which I think is awesome and kind of critical for a utility caster. So that to me, like, I am really fascinated with this one myself.
Agreed. As someone, I've been playing a bard a fair bit recently. One of my more recent mains is a bard, and I found it's the class I spent the most time reading over. I know one question we got, which we'll talk about a little more later, and I've seen it in other places, is a lot of people are not thoroughly pleased with removing the first magical secrets on lore bards.
Yeah, but we all have to accept that Lorebard was busted. Like we loved our Lorebards, but we gotta accept they weren't balanced. They really did outcompete a lot of other casters.
Yeah, I think that's the pattern here that I'm starting to see. So all the busted things from the classes, the features, the spells, they're starting to kind of tame it down a little bit, and play it as intended. Is what they're
Galen
pushing
Drill
for.
had an interesting point there, which is that by tying Bardic Inspiration to proficiency bonus instead of making it standalone, it makes one level dips into Bard a lot more powerful because it no longer affects how many inspiration dice you get.
Oh, that's true.
I hadn't thought of that.
Number of uses. Yeah, it's proficiency. So you don't even need a good charisma.
Nope.
Although you won't get Font of Inspiration. Font of Bardic Inspiration, because Font of Bardic Inspiration gives it to you on a short rest, which is 7th level now. That got bumped up. And Jack of all trades is also 5th level now. So like, well, the Bardic Inspiration 1 level dip is better now. You've lost out on Jack of all trades, which was the other thing people dipped for. And I think that kind of balances it out because 2 level Bard was a really good dip. 2-3 levels, you were getting like expertise, Jack of all trades, inspiration, full spell casting, a skill. So I think it's still a pretty good dip, but again, it's not as busted as it used to be.
Yeah, I found the new inspiration uses very fascinating.
Yeah.
I like the fact that now you can use inspiration. You can give someone inspiration after they fail, as opposed to giving it to them in advance.
Mhm.
That's what helps with one issue I sort of had playing my bard is that, or even playing with a bard in the party, is that someone's got like a tough save coming up. You give them bardic inspiration, but then they nail the save and they just have the inspiration sitting around, and then inevitably they forget about it, and it just sits there and it ends up getting wasted.
Yeah, the good old bard has to nanny everyone and be like, don't forget your inspiration. Don't forget your
Oh,
inspiration.
right.
Like packing their lunches and sending them off to school.
Yeah.
I do think there's
so I like to eliminate that. Like, oh, you failed? Hang on, here's your inspiration.
Yeah. No, that and that's much like the guidance change. I think that's just to speed up play. Which I'm down with. I mean, using your reaction is technically, like, it does make it a little bit worse, but in practice, it probably means that it gets used more. And the fact that you can also use it to boost healing, which was a Tasha's change, is really nice. Like, the Bard is very much a support utility caster now, between Bardic Inspiration and Songs of Restoration.
Oh, you got a boo-boo? Here's some healing.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm in love with this new Bard. I will probably play test this myself.
Yeah, I'm mixed about it. On the one hand, like I can see, like I think it'll make for interesting new characters. It really doesn't work for my existing character, but you know, I mean, what are you gonna do?
Yeah, Crazy Flower is asking. Yeah, so what do you bards do now with their bonus action? You know, heal.
Yeah, I mean, you've got Healing Word on your spell list, and as far as I can tell, that hasn't changed. So it's probably still just as ridiculously strong as ever. And the fact that you can Healing Word and then throw an inspiration on it to make it bigger, I ain't stressing how bards will find something to do with their bonus action. I'm sure they'll come up with something.
I find with my characters, I either end up with like too many bonus actions or like none. I've never had a character that not sure. No, it's like crap. I've got 4 bonus actions to do. I need to do all of them. I can't do them. Let's get to be 4 rounds. Or I have 0 bonus actions. I'll just wait.
Yeah.
And before the stream, Cassandra, we were talking about the spells, the healing spells, right? So now it's different. Something has changed with the school.
Yes, so they've changed the school of healing spells for now the 3rd time in D&D's life. They were classically necromancy, and then they got changed to conjuration, and now they have become abjuration.
Yay! Abjuration wizards are like, okay.
Abjuration wizards, I assume they won't be on the arcane list, but I guess I didn't actually check that. Maybe there's some gimmicks there.
Yeah, but you know, once they start having those source books for when D&D, once this is out, right, and you have those wizards that can heal.
Oh yeah,
it's fine.
It's fine. They patched Dr. Rogue, so I guess we need a new healing exploit.
Right there.
I, for the record, I think it makes more sense in Abjuration than it did in Conjuration, but less than it did in Necromancy. But that's just me.
I don't think it makes sense in either of them. But it's a hard thing to fit in, especially if you want to keep Necromancy as like the evil magics.
Yes.
But that's another conversation.
I mean, I intentionally built a Necromancer because Necromancer cleric because they couldn't heal. But anyway,
do we want to bounce over to the Ranger? Do we have any more thoughts?
Yeah.
Let's go with the Ranger.
Let's go with the Ranger. Yeah.
Okay. Ranger amazes and baffles me in equal quantities. I love some of the things they've done. Some of it is brilliant. There is some absolutely brilliant design in here. Like Tireless is such a cool feature. Nature's Veil is incredible. Roving is awesome. Whoever was on this just brought their A game. Why is Hunter's Mark still core to the class? What happened there? I'm so confused.
And I think that's what they're trying to do, right? Because here's the question: if you're a player, what would make you play a Ranger? What would make you choose a Ranger as your class, right? So if If I'm a player, I want rogue because it has sneak attack, like wizard because of the spells, wide array of spells, and bard because of inspiration. For ranger, what do we got? I think they're trying to say you get hunter smart. Uh,
Flavor. That's the only reason I ever play a ranger. Literally. I like.
Right.
Yep, that makes sense for my story. I'm a ranger. That's literally the reason I've ever taken it.
right.
Honestly,
So, mhm.
sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
I feel like this ranger does kind of deal with that a bit because like at first level, admittedly, like you're not looking at a whole lot. But granted, as you level up, it starts to paint a bit more of a picture of an exploration focused ambusher class who is ideal for taking down big single targets, for hunting the greatest game. Which I think is why they kept Hunter's Mark, because it plays into that fantasy. But like roving is an amazing feature for exploration, and it makes you this like hyper
Hands down.
mobile, all-terrain character.
Right.
And then tireless means that you can, if you need to, like while the party's resting, you can go off and scout. And you even if you take an exhaustion from staying up too late, you can get rid of it pretty quick. That feels very right for the ranger.
Right.
It
And
makes it
roving
feel-
is already part of Tash's alternate options, right?
yes,
But now they enhance it here, so that's good. And someone in the chat is asking, no, not asking, but saying that from Sirius, Hunter's Mark was great at low level, and then it takes concentration. So do you still use it? Huh? Something
now
has
you
changed.
don't have to though.
you don't have to
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. So with this playtest material at first level, you have Hunter's Mark, and it doesn't require concentration anymore. So
Yeah, I thought that was really smart. I mean, it's effectively not a spell; it's just an ability now, other than
Yeah.
it's technically still a spell. But that's how it always should have been, to my mind. It's a thing you can do because you're a ranger.
I have so many questions about that, and I know Wizards of the Coast is listening because they applied our inspiration change from last stream. So, why is Hunter's Mark still a spell? It doesn't require concentration. You don't have to prepare it. It doesn't count against your prepared spells, and you don't have to concentrate on it. Why is it still a spell? Why was it not just, if you're going to give it away for free and mandate that every ranger have it, why is it not a class feature? This is tilting me so much.
I have to assume there's a plan, right? Like I have to assume there's something that they have planned that isn't been revealed yet. That otherwise, yeah, it makes no sense.
My best bet is that it's a backwards compatibility choice. That they want to keep Hunter's Mark as a spell because taking it away from the spell list breaks something in backwards compatibility. Maybe it's because like the Vengeance Paladin can get it, or maybe it's because there's other stuff that needs it. But that's the only explanation I can think of why they wouldn't just make it a class feature.
So Matt J. Dunn, it does not take spell slots anymore. You just cast it. You just cast it. No concentration, no spell slots. You just do it. It's
I
just
think it's
right. Or did
it still uses a spell slot.
It still uses a spell slot. Yeah.
Oh, it's still spell slot. It's not concentration.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. It doesn't count against preparation anymore. Sorry.
Yeah, it doesn't count for preparation, but it is still a spell slot. It's just
right.
It seems like such a there's other stuff in here that's just like you expend a spell slot and then you get to do this. Hunter's Mark could just be a class feature that costs a spell slot. Like that's not new ground for the ranger.
So is Hunter's Mark the Eldritch Blast of rangers then?
Yes.
It's just hex for rangers, which was why I thought it would disappear, but
No, I mean like for warlocks, right? You know that the Eldritch Blast is, your you get Eldritch Blast because when you get a warlock. Now, if you're a ranger, you get Hunter's Mark. That's famous for. But also, if you take care of your ranger, take good care of your ranger, and you reach level 18, you get this Foe Slayer ability, which makes your Hunter's Mark deal an extra 1d10 damage, right? So rather than d6. So I doubt that's gonna make any difference once you're at level 18.
Yeah,
I don't know why it's there.
That extra 2 damage in tier 4.
But okay, it's there.
Personally, so with these changes, I'm curious to see what they do with I think the two signature Ranger classes have always just sort of been Beastmaster and Hunter, and so we've got Hunter here. Now I'm intensely curious what Beastmaster looks like with the revamp, but I guess we have to wait for that one.
Well, I think I think based on what's in Tasha's, I could theory craft on that, but I won't. Because we do have like some rules for summons and such in Tasha's, and I think we'll see that kind of template going into the Beastmaster. But that's for a later stream.
Paladins have two kinds of smites: Divine Smite, which is not a spell, and then also smite spells like Branding Smite and Blinding Smite and the rest of those.
Those are
so
still
both.
Yeah, there was some quirkiness there, but it's interesting.
Can I mention how much I dislike when they name two different things the same thing in D&D, which they do a bunch?
It's not ideal. It's not ideal, but like it does help you get it through your head that like this is a way to hit really hard.
Yep.
So
okay.
All right.
How about we go to Rogue? Yeah, Rogue.
Yeah.
What's happening with Rogue, Cassandra?
Oh, Rogue, you know what's happening?
Yeah.
Grandiose nothing. Seriously. And I'm not upset about this. I'd like to note I'm not upset about this. We talked about the sneak attack change, so I don't want to revisit that.
Mhm.
That is probably the primary change that happened to the Rogue, because everything else is just stuff moved around. You get expertise 1 level later, you get evasion 3 levels later. Your subclass features come at different times. And they patched the Doctor Rogue or the Doctor Thief. I'm not opposed to this because in my mind, the 5e Rogue is the perfect class. Like it was honestly a beautiful class design to begin with, and I didn't feel like it needed remaking. Use magic device on the thief is useful now because it gives you an extra attunement slot. But by and large, I didn't come away from the Rogue with the impression that anything really changed.
Mm-hmm.
Admittedly, the Rogue was the one class I spent the least time on because it was at the bottom of the dock, but before the feats, and I sort of skipped over it.
Yeah, you didn't miss much. It's honestly the only major build change that I saw is that fast hands on the thief is now specific to the search action and disarming traps, or picking locks, or picking pockets. It's not just use an object anymore, which means you can't use it to activate a healer's kit, which means you can't use it to activate the healer feat. Which is unfortunate, but it was a really silly build.
Mm-hmm.
I do appreciate when they patch out holes like that.
Yeah, it was funny, but I really do think it's better this way.
All right, so before we move on, let's first of all we only had one question submitted. If anyone has questions they'd like to ask, put them in the chat now. Otherwise, I'm just going to pull the one up here. Ink Particles on Discord had a question, which is: given how rare high-level gameplay can be outside of events like Adventurers League, it's kind of rare in Adventurers League too. But what are your thoughts on Lorebards not having access to magical secrets until level 10, especially given the loss of access to useful spells such as Fairy Fire, Cure Wounds, Spell Magic, Dimension Door, etc.? Sandra, you first.
Here's the thing. They don't get access to magical secrets until 10th level, but what they do get is spell preparation, which means that they have a vastly broader array of spells they can choose from by default. And then when they do get magical secrets, they can change their magical secrets every single long rest. This is something something I didn't touch on. But magical secrets is now just spells on your spell list, and you can switch out the ones you have prepared. So all in all, I don't think it's a bad thing. I don't think losing that 6th level magical secrets on Lorebard is a bad thing.
I think that's a good point. Did you have anything else, Paul? Or
no, I have nothing to add. Yeah, that's it. It's again what they're trying to do here is trying to patch up, all the easy to abuse kind of mechanics that we have right now in 5th edition. And again, it's not overpowering, but again, they're all trying to streamline it. So I'm okay with this. Again, I'm willing to try it out, and so far, through playtests, I'm not encountering that much of a problem. Come virtual D&D weekend, we'll probably get more chances to play test these classes. So we'll see. We'll see what what problems or things that we might notice.
Yeah, another question in chat here. Ambremer asks why are Ranger, Rogue, and Bard considered expert classes?
Yeah, because
Um,
they're getting that expertise.
they get that
feature.
expertise, but also the ones that don't cleanly fit into another category. I mean, there's arguments you could say Ranger could be considered a warrior, um, but that's basically it. They're the ones that fit in between the other classes.
Yeah, they're utility.
Also, yeah, utility. Also, Artificer fits in expert as well, but Artificer wasn't included because it's not in the player's handbook. It was just built and revamped in the last 2 years. So,
Yeah.
All right. So, with all of that, does anyone have any final thoughts before on the document before we move on to virtual D&D weekends and how this all works with that?
Well, if you are, again, it'll be great if you can join us a virtual D&D weekend and play test with us. Join the games with, that's running one D&D, and then
Yeah.
if you have access to the Unearthed Arcana document, which again you can get for free in D&D Beyond, read through the glossary part. That's at the last part, I think, because all the stuff there, all the small changes happening, the feature that they're trying to make, all the juicy parts, I think it's hidden in the glossary section. So read through that, try to digest it, and you'll see all the things that you can try to take advantage or try to check while playing your 1D&D games, and see if it actually works, makes sense, or put on the survey that, hey, this is not how it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be like that. Or I think it'll be more powerful, like what Cassandra said. Hunter's Mark, why is it still spell? Just make it, we can use it this many times per long rest or until dawn, something like that. So there you go. That's
all right.
That's my 2 cents on that.
The only other thing I didn't touch on is the epic level boons. My opinion is that they're a little underwhelming, and come on, they're 20th level. Let them do some game breaking stuff.
Yeah, I agreed. Everything's broken at level 20 anyway. Like, just break it some more.
That's gonna be for us, Cassandra. Once 1D&D comes out, and then we go to DM's Guild, and hey, here's more epic boons that you can add to your games.
Hello, let me break your game.
All right, so let's talk about how all this 1D&D stuff fits into the virtual D&D weekends. So first, let me remind everyone that the virtual D&D weekends are the official source for 1D&D playtests in Adventurers League. We are the only place, in fact, that you can play 1D&D as part of Adventurers League. And the reason for that is pretty simple. And it's because we are a preferred partner. I cannot remember what they're called. PO. We're PO. We're a preferred organizer for Baldwin Games. But also, the virtual D&D weekends are a D&D sponsored event. WotC sponsors it themselves. So they have a little more say in what we do versus what other people get to do, which is why we get to run it. They can tell us, they can sort of kick us when we go in the wrong direction. So that's why, in case anyone wonders. But other than that, you can still play 1D&D anywhere else you like, as long as it's not Adventurers League, with anyone, anytime, anywhere. When you are looking on the listings on the Yawning Portal for virtual D&D weekends, you'll notice the OD&D games are clearly marked as odd. 1D&D tag, 1D&D logo, 1D&D playtest right in the title. You cannot miss them.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
I wonder if someone from the design team thought of that. That's going to be odd, right? When they abbreviate 1D.
I as soon as I saw it, that was instantly like that's what I was going to abbreviate it to, and I don't like me do not know why. Anyway,
we're just never going to stop doing that.
So for those of you who were around last month, you may have noticed the 1D&D playtest didn't work at the virtual D&D weekend quite as well as we wanted. A lot of tables didn't fire. There was some issues that didn't go great. Okay. There were some things that didn't quite work. Hang on 1 second while I fix that.
Speaking of things that didn't quite
break.
work.
Thanks. Yeah. Okay. Come on. So give me one sec, everybody, while I make sure that our stream doesn't break here.
Minor technical difficulties.
Yeah. I realized that. Okay, I realized I did not start this with the right account that actually has access to longer streams. All right, we're good. We're good now.
We're fine.
All right, thanks for pointing that out. All right, so we realized some things didn't quite work. We heard your feedback. We understand that you weren't really happy with it. This is new to us too. We're figuring out how this works right alongside you. So we're gonna try something a little bit different this time. I don't know if you just heard all my notifications. All right. So we're gonna try something a little bit different this month. Paul, why don't you tell the good people what we're gonna be running for 1D&D this month?
Oh, did we lose Paul?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm on mute. I'm on mute. There we go.
Okay.
There we go. So this, I'm saying, I got nervous with that notification. That's why. So, but this month we'll separate and kind of simplify odd or 1D&D content. So this is gonna be so good because I love these adventures. Because we're gonna run DDAL 061, which is 1,000 tiny deaths. That's gonna be a tier 1 adventure. And then we're gonna run DDAL 62, which is the Redemption of Kelvin, which is tier 2 adventure. And then one of my favorite adventures, the DDAL 63, which is Crypt of the Death Giants. Yes. Which is a tier 4 adventure. So if you're testing out 1D&D with us during virtual D&D weekend, and you feel like you have a lot of things that you want to try out, you want to do it at a high level, we have tier 4 adventures ready for you if you want to do it, okay, how about when we just starting out, level 1, level 2? We have a tier 1 adventure, and then in the middle, we have it as well. So the Yawning Portal Season 6, Tales from the Yawning Portal adventures, I think that's perfect. So that makes things easier for us to run games and then play test the materials that we have now. So that's what we're having this month.
So you might be wondering why we picked these specific adventures, why we thought these might be better, and there's a couple of reasons. The first one is, like Paul said, we sort of wanted to give you a variety of tiers with the new full spell lists and full classes. We wanted to give you a chance to play at tier 4. So we decided to run these. This gives us a chance to run a tier 4 adventure in there as well. Also, we noticed that a lot of people didn't want 1D&D in the Radiant Citadel. We noticed the tendency of a lot of players to intentionally skip 1D&D tables and go straight to Radiant Citadel that wasn't 1D&D. And we didn't like having to make people choose. We felt that was sort of made for a bad player experience. So by getting rid of the Radiant Citadel 1D&D tables and moving them entirely separate, we thought that would make for a cleaner play experience and makes for better feedback too. And then lastly, these specific adventures are 2 hours, which makes them nice and short and easy to sort of get in, do some play testing and get out without getting bogged down as much. And also, they are sort of standalone, so you're not stuck in the middle of a storyline. I mean, technically, they all fit with other adventures, but you can just play them straight standalone without feeling like you're missing out on the rest of the storyline, really. We will not be running these as non-1D&D tables. So the only tables that will be listed for this month of these adventures will be playtest tables. You can play with the standard Adventures League character if you'd like, but be aware that there will be 1D&D playtest players at that table. And switching to these adventures did sort of tweak the rules that we're using a little bit. So when you're playing, if you play 0601, you will, and if you can play an existing Adventures League character, rebuild them to use 1D&D if you'd like. Play normally, rebuild back to normal Adventures League afterwards, totally fine. You can also build a brand new level 1 character and play through. For 0602, same thing. You can build a brand new level 5 character or use your existing Adventures League tier 2 character. For Crypt of the Death Giants, though, because Tier 4 Adventure, you cannot build an Adventurers League Tier 4 character. Flat out, can't do it. They will not let us. They will not let us let you do that. So your options are to play an existing Adventurers League Tier 4 character. You can rebuild them to use 1D&D, play the game, then rebuild them back to normal Adventurers League after, keep your rewards, all that stuff. Or you can build a Tier 4 character, a level 17 character. I guess you can build actually any level Tier 4 character you want. Play the material, but that character goes away afterwards. You cannot keep them because we will not let you build Tier 4 Adventurers League characters.
Aww. Okay.
Yeah. So that's how that's going to work. Makes it a little bit cleaner, a little bit simpler. Cassandra, thank you for answering those questions in the chat, by the way.
Yeah, I wasn't busy.
All right. So that's the way that works. So again, you can use your existing Adventures League character, rebuild them to play the playtest, and rebuild back to normal, or you can build a non-AL character and play.
Yeah, I'm sure for those interested in playing the Tier 4 adventure, you have a Tier 4 rogue, right? Or Tier 4 bard? I'm not sure about rangers. I don't see a lot of Tier 4 rangers, but bards and rogues.
Yeah. That's exactly it, Matt J. Dunn. You can build a Tier 4. This character will start in 2 hours character for 1D&D. Yes.
Yeah.
As an extra little incentive for everyone who is playing this with an Adventures League character, so everyone who's either bringing an existing character or building a new Adventures League character, you will get a free minor certificate. I know what they call them, event awards. I can't remember what they call them now. Free minor certificate for your character. It's nothing super fancy, but it is a nice little incentive to get in there and try it out and see what you think.
Not sure if you already answered this, but we do have a question from Matt J. Dunn on whether Radiant Citadel will be played in ODD.
For the time being, no. Last month did not go great splitting the Radiant Citadel tables between 1D&D and not. We got players who were grumpy that we interrupted the regular Radiant Citadel with 1D&D nonsense. And then we also just had players that split between the two, and then tables failed to fire on both sides. It was a mess. It did not go well. So no, they will not, for the time being, they will not be coming back to Radiant Citadel. Did not work as we had hoped.
All right. Yeah, Soren has a question here. And also I'm reading chat and there's Tier 4 rogues here. So I see that. That's good.
Yep.
And rangers. One ranger. Soren is asking, so for the playtest, we have to use only the classes listed in the UA this month?
No.
Nope.
Exactly. Yeah.
You can mix
You
ODD
can build
classes and base.
Exactly. Yeah. Anything that would be legal otherwise in Adventurers League, you can use as well as the new stuff.
In practice, these ODD classes are essentially like new classes added onto the existing roster.
Yeah. You could even play the non-UA version of these classes. If you want to play a classic hunter for some reason, you could. I don't know why, but you could.
Yeah.
All right. I think that's it. And anyone have any other questions?
Yeah.
That Cassandra didn't get to because you got through a lot.
I was going through the back roll. Moderator
Appreciate
instincts kicked in.
Good job. Yeah. So I think that is it, right? Anything else, Cassandra? You want to?
Seriously, I'll tell you one thing. The nice thing about if you just jump into if you want to just build a new Tier 4 character, jump to Crypt of the Death Giants. If your character dies, doesn't matter. They weren't a real character anyway.
Yeah, true. My last thought, and this is the only thing that I will add from my analysis. Barkskin viable now. Bless. Actually a good spell now. Oh my god.
I
Actually a
legitimately
second
never
level
used that
spell.
spell.
Why would you?
Never
It
used
was second level.
Yeah.
Concentration lasted 1 hour and gave you a 16 AC. It was so bad. It's viable now. My god.
Amazing.
I didn't even read Barkskin because I don't use it. like it just auto ignored. But now
So
you brought it up. Okay, yeah.
whoever you put Bark Skin on, they gain temporary hit points equal to spellcasting ability modifier plus your proficiency bonus at the start of every turn. And that is so legit. I'm so happy. Finally, my child.
Yeah.
Yes, Crazy Flower, the webpage on the BMG website will be updated. I'm not going to promise tonight, but like in the next couple of days, before tickets go on sale. I'll say that. Before tickets go on sale, that webpage will definitely be updated. Probably by midweek, but I don't want to promise and then not deliver. All right, I think that's it. If no one else has any other questions.
I'm good. Did we mention that there are 3 spell lists now? So there's like arcane spell list, there's the divine, and now we have the primal, which Bark Skin is included in. So there, just want to say that because flavor wise, I think that's cool.
Very much. All right, Paul, why don't you take us out?
All right. So thank you very much for joining us. It's been an hour. Holy crap. That was just like 10 minutes. Join us because next stream we will be regularly scheduled or are regularly scheduled October Scry Ahead. That's the name of the stream, formerly known as VDDW announcement stream. So if you want to know what's happening soon, so it's going to be next Sunday, October 16th at 8 p.m. Join us. If Jenny or Ted is not here, then I might join again, right? Hopefully, he's co-host. We'll see if I'm awake. To unveil we get to show you the monthly grid, the updated 3-month plan, talk about games, plus news on Dragon Marks. Are we having some cool news about Dragon Marks now? We have some specific stuff about Dragon Marks.
Yes, some very specific things.
All right, so that means it's a requirement now. You have to join next week's stream, next Sunday. Also, followed by Ballman Games meet and greet. So was that last week? I think that was last week or last Sunday. We were on the stream, so the Moonshade team, me and Savannah, was part of the Moonshade Isle storyline coordinator. Next Sunday, not next Sunday. The October 23rd, 8 p.m. We'll meet another set of storyline coordinators. Who will they be?
Hopefully, Sandra and Mitch. Actually, surprise.
Surprise! All right, so that's it, everyone. So join us again. We were putting out more stream content for you. That way, you'll get informed. You know what to do, especially when we have games. After the games, what we have planned for the next 3 months, everything. So, stay tuned for that. Thank you for watching. Feedback on this new show is always welcome. You can always contact us in Discord. You can get us to the Ballman community server, Ballman Games community server. Talk about what's happening. Talk about things that we can improve on as we deliver these news or these information to you. And how do they join the community, Spencer? What can they? Because that's a lot of stuff.
There's a lot of. I just touched all in the chats. Join us at baldmangames.com. That is our home on the web. It is currently undergoing updating. Baldman.link/calendar to see what events we have coming up and other special dates. All our streams are on there. Our conventions, all those sorts of things are all on there. Discord.gg/BMG is on Discord, where you will find me pretty much 24/7. Paul, I don't think sleeps either, as far as I can tell. Sandra's around sometimes. Well, not in that server, but other servers. Watch us on Twitch, where you are right now. Also on YouTube at baldman.link/YouTube. Follow us on social media at Baldman Games, Facebook.com/Baldman Games. We also have a Baldman Facebook group at Baldman.link/FB_group, or you can just find it from the regular Baldman Games webpage. You can find details on 1D&D at Baldman.link/odd. And the official odd site at dndbeyond.com/sources/1D1-D. Yeah, it's all in the chat.
Yeah, probably easier to click than to type that all out.
Yeah.
Gonna put it out there.
All right, we're good.
All right, thanks everybody.
Thank you all for coming.
All right. Thanks for joining, everyone. See you next stream. Bye bye.